Hey, how's it going? My name is Jocelyn Arriola. I'm an artist from El Paso, Texas. I'm an Aquarius and my favorite color is periwinkle. And if you're watching this, you're probably learning the story behind surrender. I ended up in Big Sky after spending a summer in Yellowstone National Park as a seasonal worker. I first moved to Yellowstone during the pandemic, and as we were getting the news of a worldwide pandemic, I was also receiving the news of my father fighting cancer. Throughout my stay in Big Sky, that was a continuous battle. He fought it a few times and then came back. And while that happened, I was learning how to snowboard and I was learning how to paint. So Big Sky became a really special place for me. I first started painting when I was in high school, but then I forgot about it. I just treated it as a hobby. And when I was in Big Sky, the winter of 2020, after Yellowstone, I decided to move to Big Sky because the world was pretty much shut down. And I started painting because I was really bored. I was living in this tiny box of employee housing and I painted this bison that actually came out really nice and I surprised myself and I got a message on Instagram from someone that wanted to commission a painting and then I kind of just kept painting from there. The next summer I stayed in Big Sky again. I started selling some paintings and prints at the farmer's market. And that's actually when the idea for Surrender came along. There was a girl that asked me, hey, why don't you go big? You should just paint something big. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should. So I ordered this canvas and I just kind of free-handed an idea and then I looked at it and I was like, what is this? It took a few tries before the final idea for Surrender came out. It actually took me more than 3 years to finish this painting. And like I mentioned earlier, it took me a really long time because as the time was going by, I was also changing. My skills as an artist were improving. I was fighting some emotional battles with my dad's health and my own mental health. So this painting actually ended up capturing all the grief and the strength that I had to get to go back and to keep going. And when I was actually on the last stage to finish Surrender, I got a call and my dad passed away while I was finishing this painting. So during that last stage, I had to stop, and months and months later, I returned to Big Sky for another winter, and this time I was like, I'm gonna close this chapter, I have to move, but before I move, I have to finish this painting. So the name Surrender came along because as I was going through all these emotions of grief and happiness and anger, through all the stages of grief pretty much, I knew that I had to finish this painting, but it was hidden in the closet and I just didn't have the strength to take it out. But one day I was on the mountain. I was actually going down Broken Heart because it felt like it was the right run to go. And I was really tired. I was like out of shape. It was the beginning of the season and I felt my legs tremble. But then at the same time, I heard something that said, surrender. Almost like just let go, stop resisting, go with the flow. And it was a powder day. And I remember the moment I changed my focus, I just started gliding through the snow and I was like, hell yeah, this is it. You know, the mountain showed me so many times, even when you fall, you have to get up. And if you have fun, it's fun. So I kind of went back home and I was like, I have to take that painting out and I have to make it fun because my dad and my family would be really proud of me and will be really happy if I just do what makes me happy. And finishing this painting that has seen me go through so much is going to make them happy as well. I've spent a lot of seasons in Big Sky away from them. So finishing this painting is like honoring all those times that I had to be away from my family in those hard times. It was like honoring the growth that I have to go through as an artist and as a person, and honoring the friends and the community that have made room for me to become who I am now. So that's where the name Surrender comes from. You know, it was like surrender to the fear, surrender to the anger, just let it be and find a way to transform that energy into something positive. So this painting, you can see the Milky Way behind it. As I mentioned earlier, seeing the Milky Way every night in Big Sky was something really special. Seeing the Milky Way reflected on the lake in Yellowstone was a moment that marked my life. So I painted the Milky Way in several of my paintings. It's very meaningful to me. It represents, you know, the universe, the vastness of what we are. Then we have the sun and the moon, which are like polar opposites. You know, the moon represents the silence, your inner strength when you have to go meditate and find yourself. And the sun is when you come out and you find the strength and the fire to keep going. So now you see the skull and an eye, and the light is going through the eye. That's like opening your subconscious, letting the magic in. And so inside this brain is the snow. There's Lone Peak with clouds on one side. You see the pink, and the other side you see dark clouds. So that represents, again, duality, the dark, the light, and how you have to allow both to exist in your life in order to be. You know, that happens everywhere. You have day and night, you have sadness and happiness, you have anger and courage. So I really wanted those things to be represented in my painting. And if you go deeper, you see there's a snowboarder and there's a skier. The skier's jumping, and both characters represent the journey of the fear that you have when you're gonna jump and having to surrender to fall and just land the jump, you know? The snowboard is finally flowing and it's just like, woo! And then you come back again to the earth behind you. This kind of represents the journey from the vastness of the collective consciousness to the inner fear, and having to embrace that and also letting go in order to let things flow again. That's the symbolism behind my painting Surrender, and you can only imagine the meaning that went behind creating this artwork. I was going through a lot of things while I was working on this piece, and a lot of times it became a safe space for me to express what I couldn't say with words. So I hope you enjoy it. If you get to see it in person, I think you're very lucky to share this with me. And I'm very lucky that you get to share this experience with me. Thank you so much.